Hi there, you are listening to the Guitar Speak podcast. My name is Matt Wakeling, and this is the show that I produce in Sydney, Australia, where I speak to leading guitarists and guitar figures from all around the world. Thank you so much for joining me for episode number 148. And today I have the amazing Mike Campbell from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, more recently with Fleetwood Mac, co-writer, session guitarist, producer with people like Don Henley and Stevie Nicks. Listen, if you've turned the radio on in the last 45 years, there's a good chance you've heard Mike's fantastic guitar lines, his signature guitar lines, which lend so much to all the massive hits that he has propelled. It was a huge honour to talk to Mike Campbell, and we'll get to that conversation very shortly. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Fretboard Biology, the comprehensive online guitar course, masterminded by Joe Elliott, our friend of the show, who was the ex-head of guitar at GIT and also the McNally Smith Music College. So he knows his stuff. Here's a few words from Joe.
If you're tired of wading through hundreds of random guitar videos and just want to become a better player, Fretboard Biology is your answer. Fretboard Biology is a self-paced, college-level program that'll give you the right instruction, in the right amounts, and in the right order. You'll learn the same information I taught to thousands of other guitar players over 30 years of teaching in top music colleges. If you want to make real progress with your guitar playing, then sign up for a free 7-day trial at fretboardbiology.com.
All right, thanks, Joe. I was actually a beta tester when Joe started putting together that course, so I've seen it myself and can vouch that it's a fantastic course, beautifully paced and presented. And as a music educator myself, I have no hesitation in encouraging you to check that out. There are links in our show notes that you can have a look at, and head on over and check out Fretboard Biology. All right, now my conversation with Mike Campbell. Again, as I said, man, just a thrill to speak to someone whose guitar parts have been in my head for many, many years, like I'm sure they have been for you as well. Let's jump straight in.
Hey, Matt. It's Mike.
Hi, Mike. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Really well.
Where are you calling from?
Calling from Sydney, Australia.
Sydney. I know it well.
Yeah, you've been here quite a few times, yeah.
Yeah, well, you're in a lot better place than we are right now, but it's nice to talk to you.
Yeah, thanks so much. You too. Are you whereabouts in the States are you as we speak?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay, yeah.
We're on a serious lockdown right now, trying to get a handle on things. I'm jealous that you guys are doing so well.
Yeah, things are picking up. Yeah, we're cautiously optimistic and starting to book gigs again and stuff like that. So, yeah, hope the same for you in the new year.
Yeah.
Mike, the Dirty Knobs have just released their first album, which is fantastic, Reckless Abandon. But this project's been going for a while for you. Can you give me the history of the Dirty Knobs?
Yeah, we've been playing together in between Heartbreakers tours in the studio and little nightclubs for about 15 years. So it's not just a thrown-together project. We've actually become a band over that time, and we have the opportunity now to put out some music, so we're really excited about it.
That's fantastic. Are the songs, were they written for the project, or were these, again, tunes you'd been working over these last 15 years with the guys?
It's about half and half. Yeah, some of them have been played in front of an audience before, so we were pretty sure about them. And then in the process, we came up with some new songs, and that's how the album evolved.
I don't know if loose is the right word, but it sounds like a band in a room just cranking out some great rock and roll music.
Exactly. It was so much fun, and that was the intention, was to play live, including the guitar solos, and keep as much of the vocals live as we could, and just get the sound of four guys interacting, There's so much computer music nowadays. It was nice to just get the sound live with everyone, expressing themselves at the same time.
I love the production too is very understated. So there's your guitar, there's Jason's guitar, Jason Sinoy, who we should talk about in a moment. But you guys seem like you're panned. You've got your own side of the stereo spectrum pretty much for most of the record, so
Yeah.
I know who's who by the sounds of things.
It's a 4-piece band, 2 guitars, bass, and drums. I am proud of the sound we got in. I did it in my home studio, which is a pretty high-end studio, but not. There were no computers or synthesizers or any of that. It was all pretty much just the sound was up. We had a great sound from the day one, so we just played. And Jason and I, the other guitar player, we play really well together. He's really good at filling in my gaps and covering this when I needed, a little help here and there with the sound. And we just balance each other out really well. And when there's a need for him to step up and play a solo, he's really good.
Yeah, I love the opening track, Reckless Abandon. It sounds like you're trading off solos in that one.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
The guitar parts, looks like you've intentionally left a lot of space for some longer kind of jammed out moments. There's some big solos. I'm thinking of I Still Love You, Don't Knock the Boogie, Don't Wait. It's almost got a Zeppelin kind of vibe, and looks like you're getting to stretch out on that tune.
Yeah, well, it's a guitar record. The Heartbreakers very rarely would stretch the guitars out much because we wrote more concise songs. But on this record, I wanted to let the guitar breathe a little bit and explore some space here and there that we wouldn't normally do. And that's the way we play live. We kind of play with reckless abandon. We're tight, but we like to have things just sort of happen on the moment without too much preconceived ideas. So that was by intent, to have room for the guitars to really play out here and there.
Let's talk about a couple of tracks. Don't Wait. There's a really cool slide tone going on there. Is that you or is that Jason playing that part?
Well, it's me on my 59 Les Paul. I always thought, I was thinking it sounded like the Cream, but I like your analogy as well.
Okay. Yeah,
it's a real thick Les Paul tone, which I haven't used too much over my career, but I like that sound. And it's a very spontaneous song. It's got dynamics where it gets really soft and loud, and that was just all unrehearsed, which I like about it.
It's interesting you mentioned the Heartbreakers tone because, me, like the rest of the world, huge fans of your Heartbreakers work, but it was a lot of fun hearing some of those thicker, more rocking guitars, like in Sugar.
Yeah.
Like I said, I Still Love You. That sounds big. Well,
the Dirty Knobs, like I said, is 2 guitars, bass, and drums. There's no keyboards or background vocals per se. And with the Heartbreakers, we had... it was a lot of I wrote a lot of songs with Tom, but mostly the songs were written around a janglier, like a Fender or a Rickenbacker, British type sound, and a little more open, less overdriven. The Dirty Knobs, since we only have the 2 guitars, I turned them up to fill in that sound, so we didn't need a keyboard, and just let the 2 guitars fill in the holes.
Very cool. What are you using for amps?
Well, Jason played through a Princeton Fender amp. I usually play through a Fender as well, but on this album I had a Duesenberg sent me an amp. It's kind of modeled after a Princeton, but it's their amp, so this brown-looking thing, and I just turned that on the first day, and it made a great sound with Jason, so I stuck with that amp. I don't know if it has a model name, but I know it's Duesenberg.
The tones are very organic. I mean, there's a few effects. I'm hearing a little bit of trem.
Well, we had our, because it was, I wanted to be live, when we play live, we have some pedals, overdrive and chorus and delay and stuff. And so on the record, we used our pedals, like we would at a gig. So if it needed to echo, you just hit a button with your foot. Or if you need it louder, you hit the overdrive with the other foot. And I wanted to recreate the sound we make when we play live, and that's what we got.
You mentioned the Les Paul. Were you playing any other guitars on the record?
A lot of it was Les Paul. I played my Fender Broadcaster on several things, which is my original Fender guitar.
Oh, wow.
I played the Rickenbacker 12-string on Reckless Abandon. And then there was a couple of acoustic songs where we used some Martins and acoustic Gibsons. But I think most of the songs were that Les Paul on mine, and I think Jason played a Strat on most things too.
Okay, classic combination, those two. You am I hearing a 12-string, some slide on a 12-string on Southern Boy?
Southern Boy, yeah, there's some slide here and there.
Yeah.
I have to remember, yeah. That was live too. I just picked it up as the track went by and put it back down. But a couple of things have slide guitar. And speaking of Jason, I would like to give him credit. There's a song called That Guy.
Yeah, yep.
And it's kind of a J.J. Cale-ish, swampy little song. And I actually handed Jason my guitar and the open tuning and asked him to play the slide. I said, just play really simple. And he played an amazing part on that song. It's really beautiful.
Nice. What tuning do you have for that guitar?
It was an open G. Well, let's see. This song was an E flat, so it was probably an E tuning.
Okay, yep. So are you down in E flat?
We rarely go to E flat. We usually stay on the dots, but I don't know, that just the voice sounded better in that key.
All right, I hope you are enjoying the conversation with Mike Campbell. We will get back to that very shortly, but I want to remind you that this episode is presented by Fretboard Biology, the comprehensive guitar program put together by Joe Elliott. Now, Joe is good friends with the amazing Greg Koch, who had this to say about Fretboard Biology, and I quote, "My buddy Joe Elliott, who ran the guitar department at the McNally Smith College of Music when I was teaching there, and who was at GIT many years before that, has busted his tail putting together this unbelievable online guitar course. Basically, his college-level curriculum available with video lessons that you can work at your own pace in the comfort of your own domicile. Perfect timing, says I. Dig it." Unquote. There you go. Greg Koch speaking about the Fretboard Biology course. There are links in our show notes. Please check them out. And we'll jump back into our interview now with Mike Campbell. Mike, how are you enjoying the change in role? I know in the Heartbreakers you referred to your job as the co-captain. For the Dirty Knobs, you're obviously stepping up the front a little more. Yeah.
It's a whole different thing. I really do love it, though, I must say. With the Heartbreakers, I had such an easy job. You know, I could just lay back and Tom did all the work, and I would just play guitar. And I have a new respect for Tom, having had to front the band and remember all the lyrics and sing in tune and lead the charge and talk to the audience. So there's a whole lot more responsibility. But over the years, playing with the knobs and these little bars and stuff, I've really gotten comfortable with it, and I truly enjoy it.
When I think of so many great rock bands, the sound is often defined by the vocalist. You know, I'm thinking of the Stones or AC/DC, but the guitarists often define those bands just as much. And I think with the Heartbreakers, that was clearly the case with you, Mike. You know, those parts you can't. When I do cover gigs, if a Heartbreakers tune gets called, if you don't play the guitar parts, you know the song's not working. Did you, as you were doing those records, did you know? I don't know. Did you have an inkling of how important your parts were in the big picture?
I never thought about it. I was just going by instinct. I mean, looking back on it, I can see that a lot of the guitar parts were very essential, like on Breakdown, the line here and there. You take those off and the song doesn't sound as good. But at the time, I just had my head down, just doing the work in the moment. But we were just lucky, you know. Tom wrote some great songs, and I just tried to help them along with the guitar here and there if they needed something. And it worked.
It certainly did work. It certainly did. What was the interplay like with you and Tom on guitars? Jason is different. Tom was a great rhythm player, and there was I think he leaned on me a lot to come up with bits, you know, to help the songs along. And I just love that role, you know, and I always seem to come up with something, you know, it's magical. I don't know where it comes from. I'm just lucky maybe, but he always liked, you know, how I helped the songs along and come up with bits, you know, to give them a hook or something. But it was just natural. I don't know. We had a mutual affinity to each other, and I'm really proud of the songs we wrote. You still play some Heartbreaker songs in the Dirty Knobs, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, we have a tour if we ever get around to it. Yeah. But the set, I like to do covers now and then. We might do an Animal song, or we might do a Howlin' Wolf song, and we learned several Heartbreaker songs. And I'm thinking once we get touring, I'll probably put one or two in each night. And I enjoy playing them, you know, and I can most of them I can sing really close to Tom's personality because we're a lot alike, and I can capture the character of the song probably better than most people would, even if they're a better singer than me. I understand how the song should be delivered, so I enjoy doing those songs.
So after creating so many of your own iconic guitar parts, what was it like stepping in for Lindsay Buckingham in Fleetwood Mac a couple of years back now?
Well, that was different for me. I wasn't used to learning other guitar parts. I was usually coming up with my own and playing my own parts, so it was kind of a challenge. It's something I'd never really done. But I loved those records so much, I really wanted to recreate the records as closely as I could. So I studied them quite a bit, and I tried to pick up on all the nuances of the guitars that were important in those songs. But it was a bit of a challenge, but I took it on as a challenge, and it was I learned a lot too. It opened up my mind a little bit, and I'm much happier doing my own songs.
Yeah.
But as far as the guitar parts, but he's a great player, and it was fun to learn his stuff.
He's got that really unusual finger style in the right hand. Did you cop any of that, or did you stick with your flat pick?
Well, I copped what I had to. We didn't do some of the songs that he does. That technique are his personal songs in the band. We didn't do many of those, fortunately, so I didn't have to work too hard on the finger picking. But I can do that if I need to. But most of the songs were electric, the hits and stuff.
Sure. You strike me, Mike, as someone who just loves to play. Hence you've had the Dirty Knobs running in between tours. You took the Fleetwood Mac gig, and now going pretty full steam with the Dirty Knobs. Is guitar still as exciting for you as ever?
Oh yeah, I love playing guitar, and I love the Dirty Knobs, and I love those songs. They're really fun to play. I mean, they're built for guitar. There's a lot of rhythmic and raunchy guitar in those songs, and I love playing them. I'm happy. If I'm playing a song I like and I've got my sound, I'm as happy as I can be.
Awesome. Sounds good. And what's the plan for the Dirty Knobs from here? So obviously the record's out.
Well, we'll probably start another record depending on the COVID in January. We'll probably make another one here at my house because it's a good sound. Have that done by May. And then we've got some dates on hold starting in June, some opening for Chris Stapleton in big baseball fields and stuff and big arenas. And then following that, we've got our own tour, which is our headline tour, which is much smaller places, but that's how we're going to start out. And it's all sitting there, sold out, ready to go. So depending on, we'll have a second record done by then, and then if the tour gets pushed back yet again, we'll make another record. Once we get out playing, I just want to keep playing. I love to play live, and I miss it a lot, and I want to stay busy.
Very cool. So I guess your whole career you've gone starting in clubs, with the mud crutch stuff, playing in arenas, and now it looks like you got a nice mix of both. What do you enjoy about both sort of venues? So the mega arenas versus a smaller club. Yeah,
well, that's another thing about starting over basically and playing smaller theaters or bigger clubs or whatever. That's how I started out, So when I play those gigs, it's kind of getting in touch with the source of my first inspiration to be a musician, and I really like that. I like being in a room with 400 or 500 people where we're all in the same room. We can all hear the same sound. You can see their faces, and you can feed back. The interaction between the band and the audience can be really exciting. And the big arenas, like with the Heartbreakers, we played a lot of bigger places. It's a different thing. It's equally satisfying, but a different way. You don't see the people's faces as well, and there's a big sound that goes out into the air, and it's so I found when you play those places, less is more. If you hit too many notes, they get lost in the echo. So you simplify your sound, and it sounds better in the big arenas. But like I said, the small places, you can really improvise, and which the Dirty Knobs do. will, like, you know, a piece might go on longer, or you might throw in a song you didn't rehearse that well. But in a smaller room, you can get away with it because you can really hear each other and you're real tight together. So both worlds are good. And playing music's good, whether it's just sitting by yourself with a guitar or playing for 100,000 people. It's still music.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. And yeah, you still, it's so evident how much you love it on whichever level you're engaging with it, Mike. It's been awesome talking with you.
It's my lifeblood.
Yeah. Okay. Can I ask you one last question? You've had an amazing career as a sideman and as a frontman now, as a producer, as a musician. What's your advice to up and coming guitar players?
Well, my advice would be, don't do it unless you love it. Don't do it because you think you're going to be a rock star or make millions of dollars, because it'll end up being shallow. You know, if you're going to play guitar, like for me, once I started playing guitar, nothing else mattered to me except the guitar. I was going to do it whether I made a penny or not. And I think maybe that's why I got better at it, because I loved it. You know, so if you really love it, just go after it, you know, and don't give up. Just practice all the time. Work on your rhythm, you know, and I would suggest try not to play too fast or show off. Try to play in time with the groove and play for the song. You know, don't show off, but try to come up with stuff that makes a song sound better. I mean, I think that's the best advice I could give you. That's great. Well, Mike, it's been amazing to chat with you about your career and the Dirty Knobs record that's out and all the other amazing stuff you've done with the Heartbreakers. And thank you for all the music and all the best for the new chapter that you've just kicked into. Thank you, Matt. It was nice talking to you too, and stay safe. All right, there you go. Mike Campbell, what a great way to finish out our year, speaking to such fantastic guitar player with a wonderful career and, as already mentioned, a string of hits, mostly with the Heartbreakers, but also with some very well-known artists. And, of course, the Dirty Knobs new album is out now. I highly recommend you check that out. All right, well, hey, that's our last episode for the year, for 2020. So thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to your company in 2021. My thanks also to Fretboard Biology for sponsoring this episode. There are links in our show notes for you to check out that excellent online guitar course. All right, my name's Matt Wakeling. You've been listening to the Guitar Speak podcast. I'll catch you next time. Bye now.